Hi folks, it's Cherry here at Clary Base. I'm going to answer this question on Reddit because I thought it was really well written and they gave a lot of context. Essentially, this person is trying to store some inventory information. There's item numbers, there's location codes, so maybe they're in a warehouse with bin numbers, who knows, and then there's the quantity. And they're trying to figure out if their boss sends them a piece of paper. Maybe it's in a spreadsheet, maybe it's a piece of paper, I don't know. But you know, sometimes people are using a pen and paper, and that's okay. And then they need to generate a quick list of the relevant items. So maybe they need some reporting, and here's the example of what they need and want to get to, which is great because they've already figured out some goals and they've obviously started. I love when people ask questions with poking around with the lookup feature. Lookup isn't quite the right avenue here, but I'm just going to help set up the space. It's a pretty simple and straightforward architecture. I mean, I'm sure the actual use case might get more complicated over time, but right now it's actually pretty simple. So I'm going to go ahead and build this with you all. So first of all, we need an items. Actually, I don't need to call it items. And then we need locations. I'm just starting from scratch here because that's easy for me to do. And then an inventory log. I'll cover in a moment how all of these tie together. So then the items we're going to have, let's say, a pen, a pencil, and an eraser. And obviously you see these like not very useful Airtable fields. So I normally delete all of them, but I'm just going to hide everything here. And then for locations, we're going to do A, B, and C for their different locations. I know this person had them numbered, but for the sake of demonstration, because inventories, like inventory numbers already have quantities, I'm not going to add extra numbers to confuse us. Okay, so then we have a link to the items table, and then a link to the locations table. So this is actually pretty straightforward. And then another field for number, I'm just going to name this quantity. So this is at minimum what this person would need to have in terms of their Airtable base. And what you can see is now I can tie together the pens, and maybe I'm putting some pens in location A, and I'm putting in 100 pens, but of course sometimes the pens might get depleted. So if I'm going to remove some inventory, I'm going to allow some negative numbers. So I might subtract 50, and this is already going to show up. Oh, actually not yet, but I'm actually just going to show some fields. So now we have the inventory log. Obviously, these are unnamed records. Right now, we'll go ahead and name them in a second here, but quantity. Oh, oops. So this person in their original question was on kind of the right track. They were looking at lookup fields, but in the scenario that we're looking at here, when we want inventory numbers, we actually want the roll up field, and then we want to roll up the quantity from the inventory log table, and I'm going to create the field. So now I've got 50 pens because I've added 100 and now I'm subtracting 50. But if I'm saying pencil, then I'm doing, let's say I'm adding 20 pencils. And in items, I will see there's a inventory like number of 20. And we talked about this being an unnamed record, so we can go back to the inventory log and change this to a formula field. I'm going to create it with AI, concat items, locations, and quantity. I think Airtable AI is pretty good with formulas. Okay, confirm the change, that's great. So now I've got, I didn't add a location into B, but that's totally fine. And then for this person, if they want to look at inventory in A, inventory in location A, They can also look at location contains A. So now you could build a couple of fields to just show location and A. I mean, it depends on how many locations you have. If you have like more than 10, I wouldn't do this. This is more so I might have 3 different warehouses. So I want to look at my inventory across different warehouses. Maybe my 3 different warehouses, I might just, take a shortcut and do a roll up this way. But if you've got many, many different locations where you can store inventory, then I would much rather build a pivot table inside of interfaces to show all of the different items they have and all of the different locations. So you can see it in a big grid. That might be helpful. Yeah, so that's kind of where things could go with the space. Really, the inventory is, the setup could be quite simple. But of course, if like I always think requirements could potentially get more complicated, so they could always like update and refine from here. Yeah, that's a quick tutorial. If you have any questions about inventory management systems, we've done a ton of them, so you can always reach out to us at claribase.com. And yeah, once again, I'm Cherry, and hopefully I've answered your question.